How's life here? And we want to celebrate X. We have some things that we wanted to say because he touched both of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he was like a modern day prophet from the things, especially the prayers and things like that he would say. So in connecting to God, he knew how to do that.
Right.
And one of his last things that he had put on, like say, Instagram or YouTube, or just kind of went on live, and he went on and he talked about now it's time that you being able to pray for yourself, and that was huge. That was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Now seeing the events that has happened here is gone home. So in that, it is so hard for, of course, everything that he has done has always been straight from the heart.
Yeah.
So that's why we felt his music, and that's why we wanted to talk about him today.
Right. So we're going to talk about one song in particular of his, Flippin', and I feel that the lyrics in this song really go through his whole life story. And I think it's important that we reflect upon his life story because there are a lot of obstacles, adversities that he faced. And with those adversities, it developed his character. And it resulted in the man and the legacy that we know today.
Yeah. Because, people that knew him always expressed how passionate he was for the people that he loved.
Right.
Of course, people that he dealt with them with love. And the people that he didn't deal with them at all.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's what the realness of him. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's what you really feel. That's what makes us all.
Right. What he believed in is what he believed in.
Yes.
He didn't waver from that.
And he expressed himself in a way to where you would listen.
Mm-hmm.
You would listen. You could feel that fire, that passion in his voice. You could feel the pain in his voice.
Yeah.
Well.
So the lyrics, the chorus, I'm slipping and falling, I can't get up. Get me back on my feet.
So I can tear shit up. And y'all know in those lyrics, we've all felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm slipping and falling, I can't get up, but I got to get up.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get up.
I have no choice but to get up.
Yes. And you get up and you continue, because until you decide to go home, then it's not finished.
Right.
It's not finished.
It is not done. If you have breath in your lungs, it is not over.
Right.
Yeah.
And we want to say that Brother X has decided to go home. Of course, we know that it's always ultimately God's decision. But in that passing, in his passing, that light will always shine. Always shine. And DMX always knew how to shine light through any darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed us through shining light on his darkness.
Dark Man X, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to the first verse. Let's talk about his early years, his childhood, because I think that there's a lot of things there that happened to him as a child. If you Google, there's a whole bunch of articles out there that discuss and talk about how traumatic his childhood is. And as a therapist, I work with a lot of individuals that have a lot of horrific things, so to speak, that happened to them as children. A lot of experiences that make it hard to kind of cope with life as an adult because of the unresolved pain and the things that you learn through going through all those tumultuous things. So DMX, right? So he had a tough situation where he was in and out of foster care. He struggled with his mom. There was the fact that his mom had different relationships and her partners would be abusive to X, so he would run away and leave. He got his first charge before he was even 10 years old. And, he had straight A's in school, but he would get in trouble, throw chairs, do these types of things. And, he had his own perspective and he didn't feel understood by, authority figures in his life at that time, which kind of resulted in how he reacted to things at that time. We do the best with what we have at that time. We do the best we can with what we have in that moment. So, the first verse of that song kind of highlights some of that
Right.
he went through as a kid.
Right. Because that will bring a lot of abandonment feelings and things like that. So that will also make your ego develop this sort of protection. So I have to protect you. So it's a lot of anger and frustration that goes along with that, because you have to protect yourself from that pain that you feel from that abandonment.
Right.
So as far as his heart, he always had that heart of a lion. So I'm gonna survive, I'm gonna make it. So no matter what, he was gonna continue to keep that fire up because he's always had that fire in him. Always. So you can kind of tell. I saw an interview with him where he was talking about the first time that he was kind of introduced to crack. And he was talking about his mentor, the person that he looked up to. And he was like, I was just a kid, and of course they did a robbery and they were splitting up the money, and then of course this guy came back with the blunt that was laced with the crack, and then of course
that is course.
But see the way X expressed it though, with all the emotions and the tears and all of those things, he was like, why would someone that I looked up to so much would give me something like that, would turn me on to something like this, So in that feeling, that emotion, he still was living that moment, and still stuck in that moment. And of course, not to say that him being on crack or anything like that, as far as that part of the addiction part of it. No. What I'm talking about is the passion, the emotion of how he expressed. Why would someone do that? Because he had that emotion, that passion throughout all of his life, and he would protect people around him. Of course, that's what we have heard from everyone that has been around him. We never got the pleasure to meet X personally. We were just expressing how we feel and how he touched on our lives. And of course, what we have heard about his life. But the way he expressed those things, and things that I saw from his eyes, I looked in his eyes from those interviews, that passion that he felt, I felt that passion. I felt that love. I felt that he was speaking for all of us. He had a voice that was telling us that you have to stand up for whatever you feel is injustice, whatever you feel is wrong, or whatever you feel like you want to express, you express it. Be yourself. That's what the X was teaching us, and he touched so many people in that way because he was real. He was real.
And the second verse of the song kind of talks about, living in different institutions and how that kind of prepared him for jail and prepared him and kind of set him on that course, and it threw him out there into his environment, and he felt like, man, I'm just getting my legs, I'm just learning how to be a man. But he was forced to be a man in various situations at an early age.
And these are very high ego driven places, so your ego kind of develops that dog, so that's what he developed, that dog, so to speak. And then of course, by him having that dog and then bringing those dogs, that first dog I believe he brought to his grandmother's house, and she let him bring it in. So those things, as far as just him connecting, that was something that he could love, that would show him unconditional love.
Right.
And of course, the people around him, that he would develop some very, 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 very strong friendship, some brotherhood that would be around him as well. People that he could actually really trust. And then of course, people that he would have to watch out for too. And X was not a stupid person. So we're talking about X. So in those things, just knowing that his judgment of people and things around him, all of those things, it played a factor in that present moment of what he was doing at that time.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to know that you have something to love. And see, that first dog was the thing that he knew would love him back. So you feel that love, and that gives you a sense of understanding what love is. And then, of course, he took off. He took the rest from there.
He did. And then, he developed in his music career, those experiences in itself with the industry.
Huge.
That's something I bet you he wasn't quite expecting to encounter in the ways that he did.
Right, right. I mean,
Yeah.
took the rap world by storm. By
Hmm.
storm.
And speak of what Swizz Beatz said the other day about him and his career.
Well, Swiss Beats, that was his brother,
Hmm.
and that he expressed it in that way, my brother, and they, like he said, they slept on floors together. They were real, true brothers. You know, so in that, the way he spoke on X was like DMX was a real life prophet. He was a prophet in the way he lived his life on modern day, the way that we can understand it, the way we can relate to it. You seen how X life had basically was right in front of you. It was like a movie. It was
Hmm.
like a movie.
And he didn't feel like he was worthy of receiving the
Right,
nominations
right,
and the awards that he did throughout his
right,
career.
right. The way Swiss Beats expressed it, he said, he suffered every day.
Yes.
Is the way he expressed it, and and the way Swiss expressed it is that passion is the same way that X would express it. So that was real. That was passion.
Right.
In that, and that they were real brothers because he knew what X was going through. So to come from Swiss, that's when you know that it was real. It was real. And of course, we all know that X was real.
Yes.
There's no question about that.
Yes. Yes. He was so authentic, so transparent. He would allow himself to be vulnerable with his music,
Hmm.
with his career in general, his acting career. Watch any interview, and that's just him, raw
Right,
him.
right,
And
right.
it's not often that you encounter people that aren't fearful of being who they are.
How many people watched Belly and wanted to be him and Nas?
How many?
How many people wanted to be Tommy? How many people thought they were Tommy? Like, so. Just know the way he expressed his real, raw, true self.
Mhm.
That was him. That was him, and that's who we all fell in love with. That's who we all was like. You know what? This is who we want to be like. You know, this is
Mhm.
who we want to be like.
Yes.
So he was definitely a mentor from afar for a lot of people.
Right.
A lot of people.
So yeah, what a wonderful life he had in a lot of ways, where he touched so many people, and you know, I believe we all come here with a mission,
We do.
and I think he carried out his mission
Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
He delivered a message. He presented himself as him, authentically, undoubtedly DMX. So thank you. So, in conclusion, I just want to say that if you're out there and you're struggling with loving yourself or struggling with understanding how others can love you, please reach out for support. Because, when we go through difficult things early on in our lives as children, sometimes we develop a hard exterior. Sometimes we develop certain beliefs that don't serve us on our missions in our adult lives. Sometimes we feel like, well, if my mom could leave me, how could anyone possibly love me? If my parent, my mother, the person that birthed me, couldn't love me in the ways that I needed to be loved, how could anybody else love me? And those beliefs that we develop through those experiences, make it difficult for us to form relationships as adults. A lot of times we function in fear because we're like, no way, I have to keep distance. I can't get too serious. I can't commit. I have to treat this person in this way because I was treated this way, because I'm holding on to this hurt and pain. So, if you're struggling with, moving forward in certain areas of your life and you've had, difficulties early on in your life, talk about them. Find someone that's supportive and willing to listen and be non judgmental and give you an open ear. Because there are people out there that have an open heart in a way that they can listen and help you develop new strategies to move forward.
So don't be afraid to reach out. I know it can be tough. But just know there's people out there that do care and they will know.
Yeah. All right. We love you.
We love you. Mine's
My
life.
life.
You know I want that love. You know you need that love. You know we want that love. You know I want that love. You know we need that love. You know I got that love. Man, can you feel the love? Can you feel the love? You know I give you love. You know we giving love. You know we need your love. Mine's life. Mine's life. Yeah, check out the new merch. Get your family dripped up and draped out in the new merch. Ah, yeah. That drip is here. That drip is here. That drip is here. That drip is here. The source, the drip is here. The son of source shorts, man, that drip is here. We got the leggings for the lady drip. It's here. We got the leggings for the lady drip. It's here. The son of source shirts. The drip is here. The son of source shirts. The drip is here. Source's brain shirts, man, that shirt is so tight. Man, that shirt is so tight. Don't mess up my vibe. Don't mess up my vibe. That shirt is so live, man. Don't mess up my vibe. You can see the vibrations on the front. You can raise your vibrations on the front. You ain't gotta worry about it. You can get some socks. You can get some socks. You can get some socks. The drip is so live. The drip is so live. Don't mess up my vibe. Don't mess up my vibe. Mine's life. Mine's life. The drip is so vibe. The drip is so live. The drip is so live. Don't mess up my vibe, man. That shirt is so live. The son of source shirt. The son of source shirt. Man, that shirt's so live. Man, that shirt's so live. Don't mess up my vibe. Don't mess up my vibe. The merch is here. The merch is here. Mine's life. Mine's life, man. That merch is here. Man, get your shirt. Get your shirt. Get your shirt. Get your shirt. Man, don't mess up my vibe. That shirt is so live. Don't mess up my vibe. That shirt is so live. Get some socks. Get some socks. You can get a dog shirt. You can get your dog shirt. You can get your dog shirt. That messed up my vibe. Man, that shirt is so live. Don't mess up my vibe. That shirt is so live. Son of source. Son of source. Son of source. Son of southern source. Son of southern source. The source healing center shirt. Mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul. Let your family get draped up in the drape. Let your family get dripped in the drape. Hey, that shirt is so live. Don't mess up my vibes. Mine's life. Mine's life. The merch is here. The merch is here. The merch is here. Hey.